All right, this is going to be a good one. Let's talk about how to use AI better than 99% of other Etsy sellers. And what this really equates to is your efficiency with time, getting the most out of what you're doing, and making more money at the end of the day. Because if you can do things faster, save time, be more efficient, that always equates to dollars at the end of the day. And that's why I did this picture here. Most people are here playing in the sandbox with pennies, right? They're not even at the precipice of what they could be doing. While if you can figure out how to be this guy here on the right, you're going to be so much better off, not only now, but long term, if you start to conquer these things right now. So today, I'm going to teach you the fundamentals of how to be better than most people and how to use AI better than most people, so you can move a lot faster and be a lot more efficient and, make more money. We're all here to make money at the end of the day. Makes your life a lot easier, and AI can definitely help you do that. All right, so let's break this down and go through each of these. So we're going to cover some fundamental things that are super important, and then we're going to talk about some power tools to get you to the next level. So I'm going to go through all of these strategies. And real quick, if you want more AI automations, prompts, all the things to help you, there is a link below to Etsy Games, a fun place to come, hang out, grow your shop. You can ask questions in here, interact, get support, but there's a whole build out classroom for AI automations showing you how to automate social media, your listings, POD stuff. It's not just for POD, it's for, if you're a vintage seller or if you're a handmade seller, there's stuff in here to help you with all that. So we have the classroom on the AI automations. We have a success roadmap teaching the foundations. I have tons of stuff in here to help you out. There's a brand new Etsy seller AI prompt vault. Tons of prompts in there to help you. So lots of really good stuff in here. You don't have to mortgage your house. You don't have to sell your cars. This isn't thousands of dollars. It's just a couple of bucks to join. It's an investment in your business. And most people really, really enjoy the community. So I'd love to have you in there. So let's dive into the fundamentals here and get cracking on this. So first and foremost, when you are prompting AI, you should be giving it a role. AI is getting a lot smarter with this, so it's not as necessary as it used to be, but I still like giving it a role to I don't want to say set the record straight, but to basically, tee it up to what it should be doing, right? Because we want to, it'll make the AI more efficient, but it's going to kind of narrow its focus to start. So we want to give it a role. So when we are starting with any prompt in here, we want to give it a role. So we want to be like, act as the world's best Etsy SEO strategist. So that will be the role. And then we want to finish the prompts, or we want to act as a lawyer or act as an accountant. How do we want it to act? What are we asking it? So give it the role first. That's first and foremost. Then we want to give it the objective. This is what, people usually don't mess up the objective part. Give it a role, act as the world's best Etsy SEO strategist. And then the objective is, I want you to analyze this listing for, long tail SEO keywords and make sure that's optimized or something like that. So that is going to be the objective. Now, kind of taking this to the next step is a lot of people do not give it a thorough enough objective. Again, AI has gotten a lot better, so it can work with very basic information and still give you pretty good output. But if you want to take your output from a C or D level to an A level, give it more information. The more thorough information you provide it with the objective, the better the output is going to be. A lot of people are just still too basic, too broad with the objective. So be as specific as possible, give as much information as possible. The next one, and this is probably one of the best things that you can do out of all of this. And again, AI will usually do this anyways, but this is going to force it to do it. So at the end of your prompt, especially for the more advanced prompts, the more in-depth prompts, we want to ask it to ask you follow-up questions. So at the end of the prompt, you want to say, ask me follow-up questions until you can complete this task with 95% or more accuracy. So you're forcing it to ask you questions that you didn't think of. That's going to make your objective even stronger. And a lot of times, especially with Claude, it will do this. Basically, you'll enter a prompt and you won't put this part, And it'll still ask you some follow-up questions to get more context, more information. Sometimes it won't. This will force it to do it every single time. And it's going to ask you questions and you're like, oh, dang, I didn't even think about that. That's good. I should have put that in the prompt to begin with. And then next time you're going to put that in the prompt because you know, okay, I learned this from what the AI told me last time. But you're going to still put the follow-up questions to make it even better, more refined. And you're going to be shocked at how much better your outputs are and take things to the next level. The next is the models that you're using, right? When you go into any AI, whether it be ChatGPT or Claude, you can sort through these different models. And it'll always have the highest one, like Fable 5, super high, Opus 5, super high. But this is going to burn through your tokens, whether you're using ChatGPT or Claude. It's token-based. And a lot of the information that you're asking is just very basic. You're not doing complex tasks, super in-depth tasks. So we don't need the top ones. A lot of times you can get away with Sonnet Medium, but you can also go in for more models and do like Opus 4.8 super strong. That was the last model before 5 or Fable 5 came out. So, and you can do the same thing with ChatGPT. You can kind of narrow it down. A lot of people are just doing overkill. They're doing like, they're asking simple questions and they're using Opus 5 and it's burning through all their tokens, right? You don't need that for, if you're doing more complex like coding or deep research or something like that. Yeah, you can use that, but not for a lot. Most people, I would say 90% of the stuff that you're doing can use a lesser model and it's going to save you money and save you tokens. The other thing is diminishing quality issues. So this is a big one. If you're continuing to so what happens is with AI, when you ask a question, it's going to give you an answer. And then you're going to ask a follow-up question, it's going to give you an answer. And then ask a follow-up question, it's going to give you an answer. Every time you interact with AI, it's going back and looking at the conversation. So it's basically going to go back, so it's going to start kind of like a funnel here. So you have your question, it's going to give you the answer, your question, answer. But all this information is going to build, right? This is going to be a lot of information here. And every time you ask a question, the AI is going back and it's looking at all this information, analyzing all this information. So at a certain point, because it's having to go back and review all this information, it's becoming less efficient and it's becoming watered down. And a lot of times what happens is you're going to start getting output that is worse than the beginning output. So you're thinking if you keep it in the same conversation, it's going to get better and better because it has all the context. It's not that way. It's getting watered down because you're having to do more work, analyze a conversation, and analyze everything, and it's getting confused. So the best thing that you can do is start a new chat every time, or at a certain point, if it starts to get watered down, you can ask it for a summary of what it's done so far and then just copy that into a new chat and then continue work that way. Because if you keep everything in the same chat or keep going back to the same chat, it's going to get watered down and it's not good. I know a lot of times you pin your chat and you to stay organized. And you're like, oh, I'm going to pop back into the chat that I was already working with and work from there. You're going to get worse results. So just start a new chat for every new task, right? And if the task goes really long, just ask it to summarize it, and then just copy and paste that in a brand new chat and start fresh that way with a summary of what was done. That way it's not the whole thing. So that will help the diminishing quality that you may see over time. Because a lot of people are like, well, it started off good and then I had to fight with it. Well, it's like, okay, you have diminished quality, right? It's not that AI. You have to understand kind of like what's happening. So I think that'll help you. Now here's how to take things. Here's some power tools, right? This is like taking things from the fundamentals to the next level here, where we can really make AI super powerful for us and what we're doing. So the first is sub-agents. This is crazy. So you can build in, especially when you are, when you have like skills. Let's just back up. I should have did skills first. So let's just go over skills and then I'll go sub-agents. So basically a skill is a prompt that you save and then you can do it over and over and over again. So I can paste any prompt in here and be like, hey, save this as a skill. And then once it's saved as a skill, whatever I name it, I can basically do / and then whatever you name it. These are all skills, right? So here's one like on Etsy trends. So basically all I have to do, this is the prompt. This is basically a prompt I've saved. So they'll run a trend report. I already built this out. So I can just put, if I want to do like blankets, right? Or like quote art, and that's all I have to do, and then it'll run it. I don't have to copy and paste it. I don't have to do any of that. And then if I want to make adjustments to this, I can still just do the skill here and be like, hey, edit this skill to do this, or edit this skill to whatever I want to change. But I can click in here and see the actual skill. Right, this is basically just the prompt that I saved, and then I can regenerate this over and over and over again. Skills are nice because it's more accurate, because it's pulling from a specific skill every time. You're not having to copy and paste the prompt in, and you can edit it on the fly. So it just becomes a lot easier. Now, once you have a skill, and you can turn anything into a skill, especially like anything that's repetitive. If you find yourself copying paste prompts or typing in the same prompt or doing the same thing over and over and over, just save it as a skill. You can do it in Claude. You can do it as ChatGPT. It's really, really powerful. Now, the other thing that you can do with your skill is build in a sub-agent. So this is kind of what I was talking about up here, sub-agent. So what is a sub-agent? So when you have a prompt or a skill, right? I'm going to do an S or a P. You put that into AI. AI will then give you the output based on your skill or your prompt, right? Well, what you can do is you can ask it to build in a sub-agent. So in your prompt or your skill, you can basically just say, hey, build in a sub-agent to analyze the output, give me a pass or fail based on the requirements of the input, and then if it fails, have it send it back to the original agent and have it redo it. So something like that. It doesn't have to be verbatim, right? So then what will happen is you're going to put that skill or prompt in. It's going to generate the output. Then it's going to send that output to the sub-agent, right? The sub-agent is going to basically then look at the skill or the prompt to see the requirements of it. And then based on that, it's going to spit out a pass or a fail. And then from there, what it's going to do, if it passes, you're good. It's going to then give you that output. Then you're like, okay, cool. If it fails, it's going to send it back to the agent to generate another output. And then it's going to, once it generates the output, it's going to send it to this agent to then do a pass or fail, right? So it'll do that a couple of times. Usually it gets it, first time, second time. So that is a way to make sure that will bring your prompts and your skills to the next level, because it's an independent sub-agent working with the other agent. So it's basically two AIs kind of working together, independent of each other. So the quality is going to go from here to here, next level stuff. Finally, plugins and connectors. So you should be working with plugins and connectors. If you go into Claude or ChatGPT, it's the same thing. You can open this up, and then you can go here. You can go to settings. And then you can go down to, where's it at here? So here's skills, here's plugins, right? So you can browse the plugins and you can add these in, and then basically the AI will immediately be able to interact with these apps. So anything that's built out for these apps, a lot of these apps are built out on specific structure using specific AI. So it's just making it more powerful, more like kind of narrow. Connectors, some apps don't have plugins, so they have a connector. So you can just connect it via the MCP. It's just like basically coding that allows the backend to connect with the app. So it's just another workaround. The plugins and connectors are basically the same thing. It's just a way for you to connect your app, or you to connect your AI to an app, right? And then those two to be able to talk, and you not having to bounce to that app. So I can basically talk with Google Drive or Slack or Google Calendar and not have to go to those apps. I can talk to it through the AI. If I go over to ChatGPT, one of the most powerful plugins in ChatGPT is Etsy. They have an Etsy plugin. So that is awesome. That way you can go. I've done videos about that before, so go back and check those out. Some very unique ways to use this. But basic things like SEO, product research, but you can also use it to track trends. You can use it to track bestsellers, a lot of stuff. And it really makes it easy. You can just interact with ChatGPT and it pops over to Etsy, looks at stuff, and then brings it back to ChatGPT. So kind of next level, this plugin. Claude does not have this plugin, but ChatGPT does have this plugin, so that's awesome. So that's the difference between those two. Plugins, connectors, those are the power tools that's going to take your AI skills even further and make things even easier for you guys. So hopefully that helps you guys out as far as getting a handle on the things that are working really well, the way that you should be using AI to take it to the next level. And most people still, aren't doing these fundamental things. So you're going to get ahead of them immediately. So hopefully it helps you guys out. And if you want more help, again, pop over to the Etsy Games. There's a link below. I'd love to see you guys in here. Lots of cool stuff in here. I'm adding stuff in here every single week. I'm in here every day working with sellers. My only purpose is to give you support and to help you grow your business. That's it. So hopefully it helps you out. I'm back soon with some more good stuff. Have an amazing rest of your day.